Shalom, family. So, pray everyone is doing well. Um, and for tonight, we have Memorial of Simon. Okay. And for those who may not be familiar, we'll try to give you kind of a synopsis of the time or an overview. But there's a lot that hopefully in future will kind of focus in on more of a lot of the details. So hopefully, and switching things up from year to year, how we'll kind of cover it. So let's go ahead and get First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 1 through 4. Just to understand what general time period we're dealing with. Let's get First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 1 through 4. Look at First Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 1. And it happened. After that, Alexander. So now when it says and it happened, what is it dealing with here? The key thing is it's dealing with the prophecy mentioned in the book of Daniel, Daniel chapter 7 and verse 5. That's what it's making mention of. Let's get that real quick. Trying to hold the pages. Bear with me. So get that in Daniel. Oh. There we go. The book of Daniel chapter 7, and let's get read here Daniel chapter 7, and we're going to go ahead and read verse 5. The book of Daniel, we'll get Daniel 7 5, then we'll get 8 and 5. So, Daniel chapter 7, verse 5, and behold, another beast, the second like to a bear, and raised up itself on one side, and had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, Arise and devour much flesh. So, and after this I behold, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given unto it. So, this is what you're dealing with, that these beasts being prophesied is what? Verse 3. Let's go up to verse 3. And 4 great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. So these 4 great beasts are what? So let's jump down to Daniel 7 to 17. So Daniel 7 to 17, it says, These great beasts, which are 4 kings, which shall arise out of the earth. Those kings being kingdoms. So these are kingdoms that are being made mention of that would happen. So that would come upon the face of the earth. So this is what's being made reference that Daniel was, breaking down. So, and reading on, and this is where we want to get the one in Daniel chapter 8 and verse 5. So, and as I was considering, behold, a he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth and touched not the ground. And the goat had a notable horn between his eyes. So that goat is what? Daniel 8 and 21. Reading down 20 and 21. It says verse 20. The ram which thou sawest, having 2 horns, of the kings of Media and Persia. So, and the rough goat is the king of Grecia. And the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king. Okay? So, this is dealing with Greece that was going to come. So these things were prophesied long before Greece was even on the scene. But yet and still, it's what happened. So now we take that and go back to First Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 1. Who was that first king, that first ruler? That was Alexander the Great, which was really Alexander the Greek. So First Maccabees 1 and 1. And it happened. After that, Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian, so that's who you're dealing with. He's that notable goat. Also going back with, the other prophecy, because Daniel 7 and 8, they're a mirror just kind of said in different ways using different symbolisms. So, but you're still dealing, with the same thing that they took out, Media and Persia. So, of course, you have Babylon. They have the Persian Media Empire. From Daniel chapter 7, you have Babylon, the lion, Persian Media Empire, the bear, and then, the leopard is Greece. So, that's what you have. And the 4th is Rome, so that's what you generally have. So now going back to first book of Maccabees, chapter 1 and verse 1, and it happened after that Alexander, as we would know, Alexander the Great, but Alexander the Greek, son of Philip, the Macedonian, because he came out of Macedon, so who came out of the land of Chittim, had smitten Darius, the king of the Persian Medes, because his father was also taken captive, king of the Persian Medes, that he reigned in his stead, the first over Greece. So he was the first, king, the first ruler. So that was in 333 BC, approximately. So it made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings of the earth. So that's what was going on. He made many wars. Some of them, Battle of Issos, Battle of Gogmela, Battle of Granicus. So you had, those going on, and like, various, time like around 331 BC, 333 BC. You had all these things going on. So various wars. So in order to put them into a, power. Verse 2, made many wars and won many strongholds, and slew the kings of the earth, and went through to the ends of the earth, and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he was exalted, and his heart was lifted up, because just saying, this is of me, my power, I'm doing this. So verse 4, and he gathered a mighty strong host, and ruled over countries, and nations, and kings, who became tributaries unto him. That tribute is your taxes. You paying taxes. So you got to pay tribute, to them, because they rule over you. They conquered. So it's their thanks for them being, your ruler, them in charge of you. So they already kicked your butt. Now they got to make sure you keep paying them every month. Keep their lights on. So let's continue. Let's get 1 Maccabees chapter 1, verse 11 through 15. 1 Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 11. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men. So this is getting the climate of the community, so to speak. In those days, it wasn't righteous men, but these men were moving wickedly. Well, how so? What were they doing? Who persuaded many. So they were persuading people, which that wasn't necessarily the worst part. Is not the problem being persuasive. It's when you're persuading people to do the wrong thing. That's what they were doing, They persuaded many, not a few. So saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen, with the other nations. Let's go make these agreements and oaths, these other nations that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. So that's kind of those meetings and conversations where, man, we give it the government, man, and let's go. We need a petition, man, and get our rights, and we need things to be fair. This ain't right. Well, it's one of those things to where we're supposed to be in a space where we're fighting to build and establish our own, even if it's tough, even if it's the harder road, instead of trying to go to the people who are oppressing us and trying to get their permission to do things within their system. We're trying to get out of their system, not, build it and make it better or more comfortable for us. No, yeah, of course, that's like meantime and between time as needed, but the focus is to build us up, use the other stuff as needed, but focus on us. So now the case, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us, for since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. How is that? Because they look at, well, when we were in captivity, they saw it as a good thing. So because now we don't have to worry about doing all these extras, so to speak, that, they started to feel. We ain't got worried about animal sacrifices, and, we ain't got to worry about, trying to, keep all these holy days. We just assimilate into the culture. Do as, like they say, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. So that was the mindset our people were taking on, and just, where this is coming from, and them just believing things were better that way. You always got them people, I was better when we was over here because at least we was good, just like in Egypt, well, we was better in Egypt, at least we had food, God and brought us out of the wilderness to starve. That's how we start to feel, not everyone, but, a lot of people, they can start to be persuaded to feel that way. And then you get all them enticing conversations. I mean, you can't lie. I mean, They had the leeks, the cucumbers, and it's like, yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right, you know. So man, you can't tell me. I mean, shoot, things are better when we go out here to the wilderness and what we got, you know. Here Moses, here he go, he trying to get some water out of a rock. You know, rocks ain't got no water. You know, he over here trying to talk to a rock and all these other things and just causing all sorts of chaos, confusion, and just you know making it harder for that man to lead. You know, but it's one of those things that they were just starting to see things differently, and they were starting to give. Cause you ain't just gonna compel everybody with just something that ain't got no type of sustenance or flavor to it. Nah, you need something real to compel the people, especially at that time. So but they were able to persuade many. But these are the insights, like similar conversations that were being had and how things were happening. Verse 12. So his device pleased them well. Everybody, like, yeah. We were like, yeah, that's good. Nah, go with that. Yeah. You got all that. 13. The certain of the people were so forward their hearing, meaning they were so wicked. This is something that most I found just very, very wicked. Then certain people were so forward therein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen. You don't want that. You don't want to go to nobody else's king, ruler, to have to get permission to do stuff you want to do. You don't want to have to go to the president, governor, try to get stuff we need to do, So you want to be able to be more self-sufficient. And certain people were so forward herein, they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinance of the heathen. A lot of times he saw one company, he just, you want to get down with this? All right, yeah, let him. I ain't got a problem with that. Go ahead. That's how they do it. So, like I said, there's certain people so forward herein that they went to the king, give him license to do after the ordinance of the heathen, whereby they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem, according to the customs of the heathen. So that's what you get to. That's where you get that Greek word gymnos. When you deal with gymnasium. And gymnos, that's the etymology. It means to work out or to exercise naked, because those are things that they were doing. But it's not something that we want to do or should be doing in this walk. Hey, if you did in times past, repent. Or if that's you currently, repent. Lest the Most High, his wrath, wax hot against you, and in your security, he overthrow you suddenly. So let's go ahead and get next one. Did I read First Maccabees 1:11 all the way down? Oh, let me read verse. Yeah, First Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 13 down to 15. So then certain people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to after the ordinance of the heathen, whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the custom of the heathen. So it's not that, they didn't build some gyms and gyms is wicked. That's not what it's saying. They built place of exercise according to the customs of the heathen, meaning it wasn't that it was a problem having places of exercise, buildings where you would go to work out. But the problem was you were building it and operating it according to the ways of the other nations. So that was a problem, And part of those key ways was why everybody got to work out naked, which happens today is just more watered down. So that you go in the gym, especially in this day and age, everybody naked, dang near. How many modest people you see in there? So you don't see a whole lot. So now I seen nowadays you got men working out in tights. So hey, yeah, the spandex pants. I don't know. So nevertheless, verse 15, it made themselves uncircumcised and forsook the holy covenant, and joined themselves to the heathen, and were sold to do mischief. Now 14 is a lot. and made themselves uncircumcised. How do you make yourself uncircumcised? Through turning from being in the truth to being in the world. And forsook, meaning abandoned, left off, so the holy covenant, and joined themselves to the heathen, and were sold to do mischief. That's what you have. A lot of people were doing that. Because people look at it from practical sense. Why would I say, I got to do this when these other guys, they don't require all that. And that's more comfortable for me. But how I don't care. I am working a difficult job. I have to put the Most High first and give honor, praise, and thanks for Him even providing it, and just give me the grace and mercy to build upon that, build my family. Like, that's what it's all about. So, let me see. Let's get First Maccabees chapter 1, and let's get verse. Let me actually get the other part of 15. Another part, and join themselves to heathen, were sold to do mischief. A lot of times that's part of our people literally selling out. You're selling out. You're not really about this the way you claim to be about this. You just put on a front behind closed doors. That's not how you are. That's a problem. So, and then, let me get First Maccabees 2, 1 through 5. Book of First Maccabees chapter 2 and verse 1. In those days, generally just at that time, So, in those days, or at that time, arose Mattathias, the son of John, the son of Simeon, a priest of the sons of Joabib, from Jerusalem, and dwelt in Morden. So, lots to take in, right there. But, man, he was doing it. In those days were Mattathias, the son of John, son of Simeon, a priest of the sons of Joabib from Jerusalem, and dwelt in Modin. And he had 5 sons, Jonanan, called Caddis, Simon, called Thasi, Judas, also called Maccabeus. That's where we get the Maccabees, But you see, like, man, for them, they were the lines of the priest. Like, they were Levitical priesthood, They would have been, handling a lot of the things in the ministry it needed to handle. So, because they were Levites, that was their job. So, and you see where Maccabeus' name, comes in, because Maccabeus means hammer. So, hammer. That man was, with that hammer, you could build or destroy. And he was building us up, but also destroying our enemies. Let's get First Maccabees 13, 1 through 7. Book of First Maccabees, chapter 13, verse 1 through 7. First Maccabees, chapter 13, and verse 1. And this is a chapter you go to get a lot of the meat on the memorial of Simon. First Maccabees 13 and 1. Now when Simon heard that Typhon had gathered together a great host to invade the land of Judah and destroy it, and say that the people was in great trembling and fear, he went up to Jerusalem and gathered the people together and gave them exhortation, saying, yourselves know what great things I and my brethren and my father's house have done for the laws and the sanctuary. The battles also and troubles which we have seen. By reason thereof, all my brethren are slain for Israel's sake, and I am left alone. This is good, because this is where Simon's character really begins to show. What will you do? How will you make decisions? Because now the ball's been passed to you. The ball is out of everyone else's court. It's on you. So what will you do with it? So now, reading on, verse 4. So for reason, therefore, all my brethren are slain for Israel's sake, and I am left alone. Verse 5. Therefore, be it far from me that I should spare mine own life in any time of trouble, for I am no better than my brother. So, look, that's what he's saying. You would have me go to war, saying, you always got little pieces, they're going for the pawns. They call them the pawns. Put all them out in front. That'll weaken them a little bit, get them tired out. I mean, maybe not. Depends. Some people, they got their A team and they B team. They gonna make it happen. So, now, verse 5, like I said, therefore be it far from me that I should spare mine own life in any time of trouble, for I am no better than thee. Doubtless, don't even worry about it, don't even trip. I will avenge my nation and the sanctuary and our wives and our children. For all the heathen are gathered to destroy us of very malice. So there's an agenda. There's a motive. You want to be aware of that. That's important. Let's go to, from here, we get 1 Maccabees chapter 13, and let's get, let me see. Okay. We're actually going to read down. Yeah, let's actually read more of this chapter. Okay. So, now, going to read, let's read 1 Maccabees chapter 13. I'm going to start at verse 1. Now when Simon heard that Tryphon had gathered together a great host to invade the land of Judea and destroy it, and saw that the people was in great trembling and fear, he went up to Jerusalem and gathered the people together. So, remember, they were pride. They were like, I got to get somebody. Got to fight. So, sorry. But now, in verse 3, like it says, and gave them exhortation. Because now, all right, so here's another thing. You have to understand that there's a crisis going on. Something's going on. People are looking, for that leader. And gave the exhortation, saying, you yourselves know what great things I and my brethren and my father's house have done for the laws in the sanctuary. The battles also and troubles which we have seen. So, yeah, he's finessing, showing the people the various sides of them, showing them that, hey, we was doing that. We was making those things happen, busting moves. So verse 4, for reason whereof all my brethren are slain for Israel's sake, and I am left alone. So now he's in a state where he's been losing all his brothers, and that's tough, especially when those boys was cold. They was making it work, making it shake and bake, Hey, man. Now, let's go to verse 4. Let's read verse 4 again. So by reason whereof all my brethren are slain for Israel's sake, and I am left alone. 5. Now therefore be it far from me that I should spare mine own life in any time of trouble, for I am no better than my brethren. So that's good. That's the humility. You want to have that humility. It's going to travel far. Doubtless I will avenge my nation and the sanctuary and our wives and our children, for all the heathen are gathered to destroy us with very malice. Now, as soon as the people heard these words, their spirit revived. That's beautiful. Soon as they heard and that's part of a leader, you know, which get into that, Simon the leader. But that was like, man, they were discouraged. Let you know that they were discouraged prior. Mine wasn't there, you know. But then it's like, dang, Simon walk out, man, is that him? Yeah, man, yeah, that's him. So, and they see that. Now then, we're gonna pick things up at this verse 6. Doubtless, I will avenge my nation and the sanctuary and our wives and our children. For all the heathen are gathered to destroy us of very malice. So, meaning, yeah, they want to cut you off. They don't want you to be prosperous. So, verse 10, excuse me. So then he gathered together all the men of war and made haste to finish the walls of Jerusalem. And he fortified it round about. Verse 11. Also, he sent Jonathan, the son of Absalom, and with him a great power to Joppe, who casting out them that were therein remained there in it. So Typhon removed from Ptolemaeus with a great power to invade the land of Judea, and Jonathan was with him in war. 13. But Simon pitched his tents at Adida, over against the plain. Verse 14. Now when Typhon's nephew, Typhon's nephew knew that Simon was risen up instead of his brother Jonathan, and meant to join battle with him, he sent messengers unto him, saying, Wherefore we have Jonathan thy brother in hold. It is for money that he is going unto the king's treasure, concerning the business that was committed unto him. Verse 16. Therefore now send 100 talents of silver and 2 of his sons for hostages, so that when he is at liberty, he may not revolt from us, and we'll let him go. So, verse 17. Here we go. Hereupon Simon, albeit perceived that they spake deceitfully unto him, yet sent he money of certification, lest peradventure he should procure to himself great hatred of the people. Yeah, stuff like that too. Anything you say or do can and will be held against you in the court order of law. There you go. So, yeah, I knew you remember. Let me get back here and see. So, like I said, go just get the backstory, who our enemy was, what did he do, just getting a lot of information. Let's get let's get First Maccabees. Well, it's really chapter 1 all the way through 13, if you're really trying to get the whole story, and really write or get those things, back on track. So, let me go ahead and let's get, First Maccabees 13, 51 to 52. First Maccabees. First Maccabees chapter 13. And, okay, let's read verse, 51. First Maccabees chapter 13 and verse 51. It says, enter into it in the 3 and 20th day of the second month, in the 171st year, with thanksgiving and branches of palm trees, and with harps, and with cymbals, and with viols, and hymns, and songs, because there was destroyed a great enemy out of Israel. He ordained that also every day should be kept every year with gladness. Okay, that's the thing, with gladness. Why? Because these are the Most High's feasts. He doesn't just want you to show up. He wants you to actually want to be there. And it may time to change your mind or spirit over to that. If you can do it quickly, do it quickly. But if you can't, that's okay, as long as you eventually get there. Eventually. Slowly but surely. Okay. All right. So, First Maccabees 13 and 51. So, and enter into it in the 3 and 20th day of the second month, the 171st year, with thanksgiving and branches of palm trees, and with harps and cymbals, and with viols. So, and D hymns, and excuse me, I'm sorry. So, yeah, and cymbals and with viols and hymns of song, because they were destroyed a great enemy out of Israel. So it wasn't just they were just doing it; they were celebrating, the fall of this person who was very much so very, very wicked. So, and part of our enemies. So 52. He ordained also that day should be kept every year with gladness. Moreover, the heel of the temple that was by the tower he made stronger than it was. And there he dwelt himself with his company. So, but yeah, but that's at least to be able to get a good synopsis. Like I said, we'll go more into our thought, read all this, but I think that's generally a good synopsis to give you kind of a gist, but most I'll permit, if you like, give you more of the detailed story, and then we'll have different time where we'll focus on different aspects of someone, and just kind of relate more that way. But nevertheless, this one, is short, but did pray you got something out of that, that generalization more so of it. Pray that enjoy your time, still it's a memorial. It's not, like a Sabbath day, like, 7-day Sabbath or even new moon for that matter. So it's not a sin to, work, cook, or things that nature. But it is just kind of being mindful, just being mindful, because you always, like I say in military, you're always gonna have one. Just don't, yeah, just be careful. So, but nevertheless, hope you got some out of that, and I'll go ahead and end it there with that. I'll say shalom, okay.